Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Reed, and welcome to Storytime. Today we're going to be reading some malicious compliance stories, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Schedule requests are just that. Requests. I do not have to honor them. Both of my bosses. From 2003 to 2007, I washed dishes year-round in a restaurant and drove water taxis in the summer. Balancing both jobs was difficult as they both required schedule requests submitted by 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Both managers wrote their schedules vindictively towards people who requested days off. For instance, if you typically work 5 days a week and request 1 day off, you'll only get 4 days on the schedule that week. Also, both of them frequently scheduled me for shifts I had requested off, and upon confrontation would insist that schedule requests are just that, requests. So, since they were both being pricks about scheduling requests, I decided to stop requesting schedules that don't conflict and start waiting till I receive my schedules, then trading shifts to make it work. I was able to make this work for 3 consecutive summers, but one week, both managers got annoyed that I wasn't working the schedule they had written, and demanded I request approval before trading shifts to ensure nobody gets overtime. I thought that was a reasonable request, especially seeing as how I wasn't just giving away shifts, it was always an even swap. But the first time I requested approval for a shift swap, both managers denied the swap. Both managers told me I had to choose which job was more important to me. The water taxi manager thought his job was more important to me because it paid $1 more per hour plus tips, but he forgot it was just a dead-end summer job. The restaurant job manager thought his job was more important to me because he employed me year-round, but he forgot he cuts me back to 20 hours a week in the wintertime and pays peanuts year-round. I remembered my year-to-date income from tax season and realized that they both paid about the same per year until you consider tips, which I kept in a safe. I counted it out and realized it was about 3 times my year-to-date income from either job. In other words, the year-round job accounted for 1/5 of my yearly income. My summer job accounted for 4/5. On the day in question, I shut off my cell phone and drove a water taxi. The next day, I went into the restaurant and learned that I had been removed from the remainder of the schedule due to no call, no show, voluntary termination. I explained that I had called many times. We had discussed at length that I wasn't going to be able to work that shift, but my arguments fell on deaf ears, and I've never been happier to not work somewhere. It's still my favorite restaurant, and I eat there about twice a week. For years, the manager would walk by my table and offer me my old job back, but I just laugh as I flashed a huge wad of cash to pay my bill. Your request for me to take my old job back is just that. Just a request, and I deny. If you want to lose your phone number, that's on you. There was a year where I was working at a phone company corporate store, and well, I sold phones, etc., for a shady phone company. As a result of my many years of servitude selling phones, I personally detest most phone companies, so I was very understanding when people came in angry over one thing or another. Usually. One day, I have an older customer come into the store, angrier than most. The company I worked for had been screwing him for years. He was on an old, expensive plan. He could have been on a cheaper one the whole time, had an extra line, etc. Long story short, if he or anyone who's previously worked with him did their due diligence and fixed his account, he'd have been spending $60 a month instead of $200. Now, normally when that kind of thing happened, I explained how sorry I was that it happened and that they can call a number, explain the situation, and sometimes they'll get their money back. And in my defense, I started to explain that, when instead I was interrupted with, "No, you've all been screwing me for long enough. You're all con artists and charlatans. I want you to cancel my account now. I'm going to the competitor." I tried to explain. "Okay, that's understandable, sir, but you don't want me to just cancel your account. If I do that before you move your phone number, you'll lose the number." Quick question, do you think he listened to that little speech? Nope. "Dang it, son, I don't give a crap about your freaking commission. Close my account." I try again. "Sir, that's not really a good idea. What you should..." Cursing. So much cursing. "Well, alright, sir, I tried to warn you. I canceled his account just as requested." Guess who rolls in the next day? company says I need to get information to move my phone number to them, and don't try to convince me to stay. Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. Here's the info, but it's not going to work. Excuse you? You told me to cancel your account? Your number's gone. Bullcrap. He leaves with the info. I had the next day off, but I called a work friend. He apparently spent 2 hours yelling at my manager about his now dead, defunct phone number he had for the past 15 years. I wonder if OP's manager ever said anything to him, like questioned him to see if he actually did tell the old man what was up. No leaving tills for anything, okay? I have worked in a store for over 2 years, just before they first opened to the public, setting up the store layout, etc. Within 6 months of the store's grand opening, we got a new store manager and deputy manager who really did not get on. Deputy manager would get really frustrated with store manager and would take it out on the staff. I was often one of deputy manager's victims. At first, I would complain to the store manager and till manager, as she would frequently tell me off for petty things that others were fine to do and would add threats of disciplinary or dismissal. Unfortunately, nothing was ever done, and in the end, I just started to comply. The best one I remember was when she wrote me up for leaving the tills. We were quiet and someone else was there. She told me that from now on, when I start, I'm on my till, I scan people's stuff and take payments. When I finish, I immediately go get my stuff and leave. If I get a break, go straight to the break room and stay there until my break is over. Nothing else. She adds that failure to comply will result in my dismissal. She made a note of this and put it with my write-up. Now, till manager used to have other rules for us, like emptying our bins at the end of our shifts, putting back the stuff people didn't want, put baskets from the end of our tills back by the door, etc., etc. But I avoided this due to deputy manager's orders. After a day of this, till manager asked why I have left things for others to do. I told her I was told deputy manager should have told her that it's no longer my job. 2 days later, I'm called to the office by till manager and store manager, but as deputy manager was on the floor, I called them to the private line we have on our till. They're demanding I go to the office, and I tell them I can't, and to look at the record deputy manager made in my employee file and tell them I'm just doing what I can to not lose my job. Fortunately, this has a somewhat good ending, as not even 5 minutes later, I hear store manager call deputy manager to the office, and till manager comes out the office and comes to me and shut my till off. She showed me every write-up and all deputy manager's notes up until that point and tore them all up in front of me. I later heard she got given a warning. Store manager isn't with us now, but deputy manager is and has really mellowed out and no more threats. I'm really glad till manager was able to stand up for OP, even if they did get a write-up off of it. It seems worth it. Do as I say. I know your boss. So, today I was training staff in the safe use of medication. I have a student turn up an hour and a half late. I politely informed said student that unfortunately they have arrived too late to attend the session, as I would not be able to catch them up on the vital information they had already missed. I do always try where I can, but that much time is just too much for what I was teaching. It is not a subject you can skimp on. The conversation went something like this. Student, I don't see why you just can't catch me up during the breaks. Because they are also my breaks. So that's not my fault. Unfortunately, it is your fault. You are late and I'm not willing to give up my lunch break. I know your boss, so maybe you just let me take my seat and either catch me up during break or at the end of the session. Or do I need to ring your boss to tell you that? So now for malicious compliance. I tell the student to go ahead and ring my boss, which the student does. My student starts ranting at my boss, and after a minute, my boss asks the student to put me on. I take the phone, look the student dead in the eye as I say, "Hey mom, what's up?" I honestly think I saw this guy crap himself. I explained to my mom what has been going on and she asked to be put back on with the student. 30 seconds later, he is packing his stuff and apologizing deeply. I'm a health and social care lecturer. I train part-time and during holidays to supplement my income for my mother's training company. Turns out she did know him and not only tore him a new one professionally, but personally as well. This woman raised 6 boys on her own. Ouch, that was a big twist right there. That student really messed up. Get out and clip the hedges. Lol, okay. A couple of friends of mine told me that I really should tell this story here. It's pretty old, but screw it. This happened the summer of 2018. That's not that old. I had a summer job during graveyard maintenance, so mowing the grass, cleaning gravestones, planting and watering flowers, and clipping hedges. We used a motorized hedge saw for efficiency and speed. P.S. I got the job since my parents know the boss, since they also work for her. This particular day, it was a blistering 32 degrees Celsius in the sunlight. I'm warm-blooded, so I was suffering more than my on-site manager. I went through probably 4 liters of water in 3 hours, and I was still feeling nauseous. I asked my manager if I could take an extra break because of the heat. He denied and told me to go clip the hedges. I tried explaining to him that I am warm-blooded and that in 30 degrees Celsius I could not work efficiently thanks to this. He didn't care and just handed me the equipment. This included a shoulder cross strap, a helmet with earmuffs, steel-tipped boots, and the 8-kilogram machine. I was feeling that I wasn't going to last long in the sunlight. I was already dehydrated and was pushing myself too much, so I asked him if it couldn't wait until a less sunny day. He ignored me and told me to get to work. I just replied with, "LOL, okay." I worked for probably a solid half hour before I blacked out. I woke up in an ambulance around an hour later with my boss sitting next to me checking if I was alright. She told me that I had been found by a stranger between a couple of gravestones out cold with a revving machine in my hands. I was in such bad shape that I was rushed to the hospital and put on intensive care. I couldn't move and had severe dehydration, so I was put on drips for 2 days in order for me to recover. I recovered slowly and was moved to cleaning duties inside. My manager was fired for endangering me and not heeding what I said. Honestly, manager got what they deserved. You really should have been cautious of what your employees say. I mean, they know their bodies, they know what's going to happen, so you don't listen, you get wrecked. You want every email that's addressed to you to arrive at your inbox? You got it, pal. Just happened. My bosses and I are still laughing. We are a small IT company. We manage quite a few clients, though. This one gentleman in one of our busier client sites says that he's tired of being told his emails never arrive to him. We look it up, and yes, a couple of legit emails got tangled up in the spam filter. No big deal. We whitelist the sender and release the message. No, not good enough for this guy. He calls back screaming, "I ordered you to let any email addressed to me to come into my inbox." I advised him that I'm going to have to transfer him to IT security, and he's going to have to, on a recorded line, say he understands and accepts the responsibility for yada yada yada. See, I did that because these guys get thousands of spam emails a day. A while back, several folks, this guy included, decided to give their email addresses and passwords to some unsavory website. Then did it again and again and again. Now they get easily 15 to 20 plus messages an hour to the entire organization. So he accepts, saying he just wants all the emails to go to him. We allow all messages to him to bypass the spam filter. 3 hours later, he has over 100 new emails and they just keep coming in. He calls back furious, asking why his spam filter isn't working. Sir, you asked that all emails addressed to you arrive at your inbox. I mean, this dude really has no room to complain here. OP did exactly what they asked for. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the stories we have for today. If you liked what you heard, subscribe for more content like this daily. In the meantime, go out on your way and have yourself a merry little day. Goodbye.